Hey, what up, y'all? It's been a little minute here. Welcome to Fandom Frequency, where we get into the entire multiverse of pop culture, man. And we ain't gonna be beating around the bush today. We're gonna be getting right into it. We got two shows to cover today. Not a long form episode necessarily. You're getting a double feature review for two TV series right now. We're gonna step out of the realm of horror and discuss Ahsoka season 1 episode 6 through 8 and the season 2 premiere of Loki. With no further ado, let's get right into it. So, why don't we go ahead and kick this thing off with the finale and the last 3 episodes in general, Ahsoka episodes 6 through 8, man. And let me say, I enjoyed the hell out of the show. I think it's one of the better Star Wars series that they've done. I love The Mandalorian. Season 3 left a little to be desired, but I still dug it. Andor, fucking amazing. Might be the best Star Wars TV series if you're just talking about writing and overall filmmaking. Might not be my favorite, but damn close. It might be the runner-up, might be the favorite. Kind of interchangeable at this point for myself personally as a Star Wars fan. And I forgot to mention earlier, I'm your host, Will, by the way. And yeah, getting back to it, ADHD over here and shit. but yeah, man. So getting into this, I was having a pretty good time with the show, and I'm not gonna go through a complete breakdown of every single episode, one by one and all that other shit. But we're gonna kind of get 6, 7, 8. I thought episode 6, following after the big episode with Anakin and Ahsoka, all the flashbacks to Clone Wars, all that big fan servicey type stuff that we all come to know and love, and sometimes can get in the way in the world of Star Wars. But for this particular series in general, I thought it worked really well. And when it comes to episode 6, man, where they, where they finally get to the unknown regions and reach the planet with the Purgles and the space whales and all that, and Ahsoka ends up having her confrontation with Shin Hati's master, Balin Gray, I believe is Balin Skull. Whatever, you know what I'm talking about. Balin, played by the late great Ray Stevenson. So that's the whole big conflict going on there, and with Hera trying to get the council to listen, and them almost getting her in trouble and things like that in order to go over there and try to. Well, actually, sorry, I got that mixed up. And then Hera goes to go try and save Ahsoka and everything like that when she's not supposed to. And then you got Sabine over there who actually took off with Admiral Thrawn and Balin and all them and gave them gave them back the coordinate thing in order for them to lock on the coordinates to the unknown regions and for them to go over there and reach Grand Admiral Thrawn and all that stuff. And I gotta say, episode 6 was really freaking good, man. Not quite as good as the episode prior, but it was still a fantastic episode, and I absolutely loved it. Nothing's going to top Shadow Warrior for me, but I really, really dug the Part 6 episode. A little too on the nose with the far, far away stuff. I wasn't really loving that, but overall, it was a damn good episode. A few clunky things here and there, but nothing really major. Part 7, Dreams and Madness. That's when Hera has to actually answer to the New Republic after they go back and tell her about the space whales and the whole hyperspace jump thing over to the unknown regions, and to convince them of the threat that Thrawn does pose coming back to the regular parts of the galaxy that we know and love in the New Republic. 6 years here, 6 to 8 years or something like that after Return of the Jedi. So the stakes are high. People are paranoid, especially Hera, and she's trying to get this message across, but the people in the New Republic Council or whatever do not want to listen to her. But Mon Mothma definitely shows some love to her, and tries to lend a helping hand and whatnot and all that good stuff. And then Sabine finally gets reunited with Ezra. We finally get our introduction to the live action version of the character. Can't remember the actor's name at the moment, but really cool getting to get reintroduced to Ezra. And I think the actor did a very, very great job, or a very, very admirable job at playing the character and really felt like Ezra in a lot of the key moments, but also brought his own flavor, and I think was a really great interpretation of what that character would be like in his late 20s, early 30s, this many years later in this live action format, and really showing the growth and wisdom that Ezra has attained over the years from his late great master Kanan Jarrus, aka Caleb Doom, for all my Star Wars canon fans, even though canon doesn't seem to matter at this point. But that's a discussion for another day. But yeah, episode 7 was really good overall, pretty solid. Thought it was a little bit of a step down from the previous couple episodes in the series in general, if I'm being honest. But it was still pretty damn good. But my main issue here is where the finale comes in, and while I will admit, and I do still say, that I enjoyed the finale quite a bit, I did have some issues with it and did think it did leave a little to be desired. It might have left a few too many questions up in the air, man. Like, where's Balin's where's Balin's where's Balin at? Where's Shin Hati? They're literally only seen for like 30 seconds to a minute of this entire fucking episode. They were like the main antagonistic forces besides Thrawn in this thing. Where the hell are they at? It reminded me exactly of the finale of Book of Boba Fett. Where the fuck is Fennec Shand? This is the coolest character. That's the second kind of co-lead of the fucking thing, and she's one of the most interesting characters in the show of Book of Boba Fett. She finally gets a chance to step up and gets the character fleshed out through the backstory of how they met, and then they don't deliver on any of that, and she's not even seen for almost the entirety of the entire fucking finale. She's all shooting some fucking mafia fools somewhere else when big shit's going down in the middle of the town. Crazy shit, lame as hell, and this is no different, man. They completely wasted Shin Hati and Balin Skoll, whatever the fuck, Ray Stevenson's character. And I'm honestly, obviously, we're all aware, or for those that maybe keep up with this stuff a little closer than others, for those that don't know, obviously they would have had to finish this and had this in the can way before Ray Stevenson passed, because he passed earlier this year in between the months of them promoting and releasing the series. So there's no way they could have known he wasn't going to be around, but they definitely wasted that, and I think they were kind of setting him up for this bigger thing in season 2. So a recast situation could be at hand here. Liev Schreiber's one I've seen thrown out there. A lot of fantastic actors I think can actually pull that off. It's gonna suck not getting to see Ray Stevenson play that role, because one thing I definitely want to highlight about the Ahsoka series in general as well is Ray Stevenson's performance as Balin. He is so freaking layered and interesting and complex as a character, and you never want to take your eyes off the guy. You're not sure where he stands, but you understand the character enough to get some idea of what, not exactly why he's doing it, but why he's there somewhat. And he just Ray Stevenson just had this really awesome stage presence when it came to being on screen, man. Whether that was Punisher Warzone, which isn't necessarily the greatest film, but he definitely had a really awesome performance. It really nailed the dark, brooding kind of brutal aspect of Frank Castle as a character from the comics and otherwise. So that was also great. I heard a lot of great things about his role in Rome. Never watched a single episode or second of the show, but I heard he was great in that series, and he's gone on to do many other things. But it's going to definitely be a shame not getting to see him come back and reprise his character in a different series or a potential season 2 of this series, Ahsoka itself. So that was a little disappointing. Some really awesome lightsaber action, some really great space battles, especially in the last couple episodes with Ahsoka and Li Wang or Yu Lang, I think. Yu Lang are flying through onto the planet from the Purgles where Thrawn and them are situated at the moment, and she's having that whole space battle, flying in there, trying to get away from the TIE fighters and whatnot. Super cool stuff, and the finale was no different. Really awesome, super iconic double slice in half moment with Ahsoka there. That is going to be a poster hanging on a lot of people's walls for a very long time. You're going to see that on phone cases and wallpapers. I'm telling you now, t-shirts, the whole 9 yards. Awesome stuff. And Rosario Dawson, I feel like in this last half of the series with her more Ahsoka the Gray or Ahsoka the White kind of aspect that she's bringing to it, or like when Dumbledore kind of went through his enlightenment and was in the all-white kind of getup and everything. Rest in peace to that actor as well. We've lost both. That's a bummer. But I really love getting to see Rosario Dawson really get to play the nuance of Ahsoka a little bit more in the back half of the season, and that was no different in Episode 8, and you really feel the growth that her and Sabine have had as Master and Apprentice, and you really get that great moment with them when they're on top of the ship or whatever, and and Ahsoka's just pretty much saying, hey, I get it. I'm gonna be for you, like I'm gonna be here for you, like my master was for me. I forgive you. Let's move forward and let's build together and let's do this right. And I'm sorry for the past, but we're gonna make it right and we're gonna move forward and save our friend and stop Thrawn once and for all. So absolutely love that whole aspect in that moment between her and Sabine Wren. And I know me and my boy Skips, who wasn't able to join me for this one, we're giving her a little bit of a hard time throughout the season. Do think some of the writing was a little bit clunky, especially with Sabine Wren as a whole. But I thought that Natasha Bordizzo did a phenomenal job with the action and did a pretty serviceable job with the character and had some really solid acting. So definitely dug her in the series overall, but I do think Sabine Wren left a little bit to be desired in the writing department at times. I do think they did her just a little bit dirty and made her seem a little too immature, especially in light of the whole Mandalorian purge and things of that nature, with her having to be out there fully on her own post Return of the Jedi, post Rebels, post all that stuff going down with the Mandalorian genocide or whatever you want to call it. All that should have been weighing a little bit more on that character, and I think there should have been a little more gravitas and nuance with it. But I'm not angry or like, oh, this shit completely sucks. Definitely far from that. But I definitely think they could have kind of plussed her character up a little bit. But overall, in that last episode, dude, I do feel like the pacing was a little bit off. Some really cool moments with the Night Sisters and Morgan Elsbeth and all that stuff. But overall, there's no Baylan, there's no Shin Hati. You're taking out a really big, huge element for the lightsaber fights. You don't even get like a really big, super badass confrontation with her and Baylan. It's good, it's satisfying enough, it serves its purpose. But I think there could have been a lot more to it in that regard. Getting to see Ezra build his lightsaber was really cool, and getting to see that he actually made it very similar to the way that Kanan had his hilt design for his lightsaber as well. So I really, really dug all those aspects of the episode as well. And the overall ending does leave a lot of questions up in the air, but I am definitely intrigued and want to check out a season 2 of Ahsoka, and I think it's definitely going to come sooner rather than later, especially with them building to the whole Heir to the Empire crossover Dave Filoni directed film that they got in the works to try to drop in December of 2026. So just over 3 years from now, hopefully we'll be seeing the culmination of all the good and all the bad and everything in between of Ahsoka, Mandalorian, Skeleton Crew, the whole 9 yards with the New Republic era of the timeline in the Star Wars universe. But as always, please make sure you let us know what you thought about these last few episodes overall. I'm not going to necessarily give a ranking to each and every one. Overall, I'm going to give the finale, though, in and of a nutshell, a 7. Just solid enough to get by, but I think it definitely left a lot to be desired. I might even go 6.5, to be honest with you. But the season as a whole, I'm going to give the show a solid 7.75. It was really close to getting to that B tier, but they just had a few McClunky things going on in the last 3 to 4 episodes there. So while I really enjoyed the series, I thought it was very, very fucking kick-ass. Rosario Dawson, to me, was perfect casting as Ahsoka. Has nothing to do with my overall bias and crush and love of Rosario Dawson, the performer. I love you very much, Rosario Dawson. But I thought that she was great casting, great fan casting, and I think she played all the nuance and all aspects of the character very well, and definitely did very well with the physicality, but she has that experience through the Netflix stuff with Daredevil, Iron Fist, and everything else, Sin City, and the list goes on. So she's had a lot of experience in that arena, and I thought she did a very great job with that. I absolutely loved Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Hera Syndulla, and for me, I thought she looked the part and played the part very well. Did look a little bit on the young side, but that's just her aging like a fine wine, so you can't really blame her. I can't remember the actor that did it, but I really dug the guy that played Ezra. I really think he really nailed the essence of that character, and from what I remember and seeing in those 4 seasons of Rebels, Star Wars Rebels, the animated series from a few years back. So really, really dug that. There was one other casting thing I wanted to get into, and now I'm having a brain fart. Damn. Oh, there you go. Lars Mikkelsen as the Thrawn did an absolutely phenomenal job. Of course, for those that don't know, he did voice the character in Rebels and in all the animated format and all that stuff. So getting to see him step out in live action and do his thing, thought he did a really, really good job. But I think that's going to do it for me on this Ahsoka episode 6 through 8, season 1 review. This is the recap for all that stuff. Make sure you drop your comments down below and everything like that. We want to hear from y'all. You know the deal. But it's time to roll into the next one. And this one I was definitely a lot more positive on. And I'm talking about Loki season 2, baby. Loki season 2. And for those that don't know, Loki was one of the literal first full TV series reviews we ever did on the channel, one of the first pieces of content we ever did on the channel, and the very first Marvel content, I believe, maybe right after. Oh, no, sorry. Wait. I think we might have did Falcon and Winter Soldier right before that. But either way, Loki was my personal favorite Marvel TV series of the MCU era with the Disney Plus stuff. Far and away my favorite series. I just think everything about it worked on all cylinders. The character development was through the roof. The humor was always on point. The action and the stakes were really well done. Really awesome world building and just creating this whole world of the TVA and making all this intrigue with Miss Minutes, the Time Variance Authority as a whole is just so fucking interesting. There's so many layers to it, and it really, really just makes the show infinitely rewatchable in my opinion. The introduction of Sylvie as the Loki variant and that character, man, Sophia DiMartino, chef's kiss to your performance. She absolutely killed this thing and became one of my all-time, I wouldn't say all-time favorite MCU characters, but post-Phase 4, she is definitively my favorite, or actually second favorite character introduced in the MCU right behind Yelena Belova. But those two right there are my absolute favorites with my girl Xialing from Shang-Chi coming in third, man. So we got a lot of girl power going on. No politics and all that BS shit here. But, you got a lot of really cool ladies in the MCU really doing shit. And this one's no different. I really, really dug Sophia DiMartino's performance as Sylvie in Loki Season 1. Getting to see the great Owen Wilson. Wow. Really kick ass as Agent Mobius in Season 1 of Loki. Just the whole cast was great, phenomenal. The set design is through the roof. The overall production quality is just so great, man. Tom Hiddleston coming back to reprise the role, so on point, bringing so many new layers and sides to the character that no one would have predicted in 2019 when we watched that scene in Endgame with him getting away and branching off that timeline with the Tesseract. And Season 2, I will say, is off to a damn good start. I don't necessarily think that this was an excellent episode. It is not probably going to be my favorite episode of the season, let alone the show. But I do think it was a very solid introduction back into the world of Loki and getting into the overall conflict that he's going through with them not remembering him and him getting sent back in time as opposed to an alternate timeline where Agent Mobius, B-19, all those people have not met him yet, so they don't know him. And now his body is getting pulled throughout time. What's the word that I'm looking for? Unannounced and without his own permission, so it's completely happening to him against his will, and he has no control over it, and he's getting pulled into the present, pulled into the future, pulled into the past, and just getting pulled all around, and he's looking for help from Agent Mobius and needs to try to figure out what the hell's going on so they can stop Kang, and he can reveal what's really going on and what the TVA has really been about and what is the, trying to tell him how the meat is made. And a lot of people in the bureaucracy of the TVA in this premiere episode are not necessarily feeling that idea and might not even necessarily buy it all the way through and are very hesitant to give up everything they believed in and worked in and been brainwashed to believe to do this. But B-19, she's leading the charge and is very passionate about them getting back to their timelines and them busting this thing wide open and exposing it for what it really is and taking Kang out once and for all in order to free them and let them go back to their lives that they were unjustly taken away from and lost time from, a la Interstellar, without volunteering for the trip. You know what I'm saying? They crying like Matthew McConaughey at this point. At least Agent B-19 is on the inside. So she's like, yo, we can't be doing this. We can't make billions of people continuously getting wiped out to branch these timelines into one seamless timeline that this guy's talking about. If we just get rid of him, we can let the multiverse live on its own and do its own thing, and we don't have to be taking out these billions of lives and taking away all these things from different people throughout the multiverse. So it's a very interesting moral dilemma and a very interesting question that it asks the audience and the characters are asking each other. So I really do appreciate that and thought all that nuance from season 1 carried over into season 2 very well. Come on now. Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston in their roles of Loki and Agent Mobius respectfully have not lost their touch at all, and really I love the way that they don't have to reestablish their connection and their overall camaraderie and their chemistry and whatnot and their dynamic as characters and as colleagues at this point and as allies in the show. I think they just pick up right where they left off. They don't have to try to fill us in or try to reintroduce them Loki to everybody. So very smart move on Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead's part, taking over here from Moon Knight and taking over for the girl that was working on Doctor Who that did Loki season 1. They're taking over for season 2. Then a lot of really cool sci-fi stuff like Synchronic, The Endless, a lot of really cool sci-fi and horror films and stuff like that. And this is no different here. I believe they also worked on Moon Knight, which I didn't necessarily love, but thought they had some great moments and whatnot. Oscar Isaac's performance through the roof. That episode 5 of Moon Knight is the best Marvel TV show episode. I still hold true to that to this day. That was some amazing M. Night Shyamalan split type shit. You know what I mean? Deep character development, deep character study. Great stuff. But getting back to the show that we're talking about right now, Loki Season 2, very, very great stuff. And the introduction to Ke Huy Quan's character, which I cannot remember the name, Obi, I believe is what they call him, the guy that helps them try to figure out all this tech stuff, who has not had a visitor in 400 years, baby. YG 400. You know, it's been a while since he said it. He hasn't even seen it since before YG came up with that. And now they're asking, Mobius and Loki, that is, is asking for his help in order to help him from getting pulled into the timelines and whatnot. And he comes up with the idea for them to try to do this whole complicated scenario to try to get Loki back to where he belongs and try to fix things so they can try to ultimately achieve their goal and end this thing once and for all. And that was another aspect I really, really loved about the show as well, was just how brisk the pacing was for the episode. I don't think the pacing was off whatsoever. I think they took just enough time to reintroduce you back into the world, get the plot points moving, and get some of those big kind of moving parts of the season set up so that way we can kind of follow through as we continue on through season 2 here. And I'm really, really digging it so far. It's been a pretty good time at the moment. And it's going to be interesting to see where Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, as the creators, with their credentials and with their background in horror and sci-fi, it'll be very interesting to see where they take things as this series progresses forward, because we haven't had any of those horror vibes yet, but it's definitely full-on sci-fi, of course. So it's going to be very, very telling to see where things are going to go for the next episode. I do wish this episode was a little bit longer, but overall, I'll get over it, of course. Man, I'm trying to think if there's any other moments or things I want to highlight. Yes, so we still haven't seen Ravonna Renslayer. We still haven't seen any version of Kang whatsoever, or He Who Remains, regardless. Sort of makes sense due to real-life controversial circumstances that we're not going to get into right here, because we like to have fun on this channel and not get into all the bullshit. You know, plenty of other channels for that. We like to talk about the art and have fun here and just shoot the shit when you got more than just me here. Otherwise, I'm shooting the shit with myself, which means I'm crazy. And there's your ramble for the day, kids. Yeah, so if you're taking a drink every time I go on a tangent, I hope you're not in the hospital by this point. I'm trying to think, is there anything else about Loki Season 2 premiere that I want to get into? I don't think so. I think that's going to pretty much wrap it up for me, man. A little bit more of a tighter, brisk reviews for these things, a little bit on the tighter schedule these days, trying to balance out everything with this goddamn 9 to 5 of mine. And we're going to do it. Spooky season is going to be back in full effect. We should have at least 1 or 2 reviews coming for you by the end of the week, but at least 1 for sure. We're going to get into the next episode of Loki as well. You got the Blink-182 album next week, so make sure you look out for my review the following week on that. We're going to have a video up on the channel, me discussing the Blink-182 latest album one more time, baby, and we're going to be getting all into it. Definitely exciting stuff. 20th anniversary of the self-titled albums around the corner, so there could be some fun things there. Some Blink-182 album tier ranking is a possibility, so there's a lot of fun content I got planned for Blink, but don't worry, spooky season will be in full effect, and we're going to be covering Loki throughout the entire 6-episode season run, so make sure you're staying tuned, and you ain't sleeping on any of the dopeness we got going on here on the channel. Thank you so much to each and every one of you people out there watching from all around the world, and for those in the worst parts of the world, our hearts and prayers are with y'all, especially over there in the Middle East right now. A lot of crazy stuff going on. Not going to pretend I'm educated on every aspect of it, but just want to send some love that way, and just, you know, to bring in a little pop culture awareness in a non-political taking sides way, but just, you know, just trying to throw out some good positive vibes. Got a lot of cool stuff going on the channel. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I love you. Appreciate you. Catch you on the flip side. Peace.